Dan Willis here, and we're talking about the CMI Group Collection Agency. Now, if you're receiving a flood of phone calls, you're getting demand letters, or you've discovered CMI Group collections on your credit reports, you're in the right place. Now, the CMI Group is a large, aggressive, first and third party debt collector. Their corporate headquarters are in Carrollton, Texas, and they were established in 1985, and they'll collect consumer debts nationwide across a variety of industries, including medical debt, utilities, cable, telecom, government, and more. The first place to start here is with the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. This is federal legislation passed by Congress with the purpose and the intention of regulating the debt collection industry. And it's worth your detailed review at your convenience. But in short, it says debt collectors are required to be honest, upfront, and straightforward, along with providing you with that modicum of respect and dignity that every human being deserves. And yes, the FDCPA is violated just about as often as our drug laws in this country. Now, the most common concern for folks dealing with debt in collections is, will paying off collections help and improve your credit score? It makes sense, and you'd think so, but as of 2018 and moving forward, no, it won't. You see, the only thing that happens if all you do is just pay collections and nothing more is a change in the status of that item on your credit report. It'll go from an unpaid collection to a paid collection. But a paid collection on your credit report is still a negative, damaging, derogatory item that's virtually guaranteed to lower your credit score. Anthony Sprav, a spokesman for FICO, says collections on your credit report can damage and potentially drag your credit score down by as much as 100 points. That's huge. Look, the key to getting a better credit score is to remove this collection from your credit report entirely, as if it never happened. And this is a very realistic goal. Every single year, millions of collection items are removed from consumer credit reports. In 2016 alone, over 9 million negative items were removed from consumer credit reports. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Now let's talk about the CMI Group and their debt collection tactics. What can they actually do to collect this debt? In addition to those phone calls, in addition to those letters, in addition to them reporting negative information on your credit report, it's also very likely, and they can legally try and inflate your total balance. Legally, they can charge your account with high interest fees and, believe it or not, even collection fees. And these fees can add up and snowball quick. If they're unable to collect payment, they have two options. Number one, they can turn around and sell the rights to collect your debt to yet another debt collector. This new debt collector, of course, is going to start calling you, sending you more letters, and they're going to report more negative information on your credit report. Or alternatively, they can sue you, as in file a civil lawsuit against you. Their goal is to win a judgment, because then they've really got you by the short and curlies. Depending upon where you live, because every state has unique laws, so for full details, check out your local legislation, but judgments can potentially result in wage garnishment, liens being placed against you and or your property, and even asset seizure. Not to mention, if you get stuck with a judgment on your credit report, it will obliterate your credit worthiness in virtually overnight. Please don't just ignore this situation, because many folks see it rapidly snowball from an annoyance into a financial nightmare or catastrophe. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Now, the first step for all consumers dealing with any debt collector is to first request debt validation on your account. This is your right, granted under the FDCPA, and it's most effective to make this request in writing and send it using certified mail with return receipt requested. That way you'll have evidence that you made your request and that they received it. You see, the FDCPA requires the debt collectors, they're required to respond by providing you with the paperwork, the documents, and the evidence that does, in fact, prove this is your debt. After all, we didn't do any business directly with the CMI group. They just showed up one day, popped up out of the woodwork demanding that we pay them. So requesting validation is the first step of doing your necessary due diligence. Now, if they fail to validate your debt for any reason, even if they just don't have their paperwork in order, then in compliance with the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you're no longer legally responsible for payment. Further, they're supposed to notify all 3 of the credit bureaus to have them remove that collection listing from your credit report because it's messing up your credit score. Now, assuming your debt is validated, our next step is to review this paperwork that they send us in detail. What we're looking for is your last date of account activity. You see, you're not legally responsible for repayment forever. In fact, specifically, we're talking about the statute of limitations. This is a state law and it does vary, so for full details, check out your local legislation. But what this law says is exactly how long you are legally responsible for repayment. Again, it does vary by state, so for full details, check out your local legislations. But generally, it's about 7 years from that first date of delinquency. Once that time window runs out and expires, then your legal obligation to repay that debt also expires. It ends. Your legal obligation lasts only as long as the statute of limitations. And the statute of limitations applies to the overwhelming majority of types of consumer debt, from medical bills to credit cards to retail accounts to utilities and so many more. One of the few exceptions is federal defaulted student loans. Everything else is governed and regulated by the statute of limitations. And warning, and this is big, debt collectors are notorious for re-aging consumer accounts with the obvious purpose of continuing to try and collect payment. And often this re-aging is done illegally. So please be cautious of that. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit consultation by calling toll-free 1-877-418-7596. Again, that's for a free credit consultation, and the toll-free phone number is 1-877-418-7596. This is Dan Willis. We're going to include a link in the description below over to an article on our website for the full story. We also have a free report available there, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. And of course, subscribe and join our congregation, because coming up next, we're going to be talking about how to negotiate and potentially pay off the CMI group, and so it will help and improve your credit score. So of course, subscribe and join our congregation. Have a fantastic day, and looking forward to talking to you again here soon.